This is a review for Fear the Walking Dead, episode number 4. After watching this episode, I instantly talked to other people I know that watch the show, and I was just super excited. And then I figured out I was literally the only one that absolutely loved this episode and thought it was the best one yet. Shame on me. Although honestly, still, this isn't exactly what I thought Fear the Walking Dead was going to be, but I've kind of accepted that and now I'm just rolling with it. The exposition in the beginning, honestly, was the most shocking to me. The military has taken the last of the outside survivors 4 days ago, and they've been fenced in and protected inside a safe zone for 9 days now. We also learned that people have supposedly headed east, and that people inside Travis's and Maddie's community are safe inside the fence, and that there's a 6-mile perimeter that is infection-free, and everyone in that perimeter is dead. The only people alive are the people in the safe zones. I think the military taking control and the power issues that came from it were really on point this episode. I had guessed last review that they were going to make it more about the group survival and less about the individual, making it that the individual is expendable if that helps the group possibly survive. That's most likely why they rounded up the bearding, crying neighbor, because he affected morale and keeping peace and order in the community, and they just couldn't have it. Sacrificing him was worth it to keep the group stable and in control. Similar with Nick, when the doctor saw how his eyes reacted to the light, or rather how they didn't react, she knew he was still using. That is a liability on the community for him to OD and die, or just a strain on their medical supplies. And taking the wounded or about to die keeps the chances of the infection spreading in the community. It also keeps down on using precious meds, which they probably believe would be better used on the stronger and more able in the community. This would make more sense if each of the safe zone was given a limited amount of medicine to work with. The soldiers want to hold on to those meds as much as possible, maybe not above lying about its availability. I liked how Maddie went outside to investigate. I really think that was part of her character, even though to us going outside seems really stupid. Also, cutting a hole in a fence for zombies to get through is also really stupid, and I wonder if that is going to play in the last 2 episodes, where a walker is going to get in and it's just going to be chaos. But for Maddie's character, it made sense. She wants to see what's going on outside of the safe zone, the camp, especially after Chris showed her the video where the person or people were trying to signal to Chris. She's just dissatisfied with the whole situation and thinks there's something the military isn't telling them. However, when Maddie figured out that they were quite possibly patrolling and executing, why did she keep it to herself? I swear to God, she loves secrets. She's like a hoarder of secrets. She only told Daniel after constant prodding of him being like, hey, tell me, hey, tell me, tell me, tell me. And then finally she broke down and was like, hey, this is what I saw. And I'm kind of wondering if she took the gun that she saw on the street. In her position, I would take the gun, but I really don't know how her character's going to respond, because I don't know, I really don't have a feel for her yet to know if she would actually take the gun from the street. Also, the spray-painted no evac, I'm wondering if people wrote it there as a, hey, they're not evacuating us, they're killing, so if they're saying they're going to evacuate you, you need to freaking just run. Or if it was the soldiers who wrote it when they were going through initially trying to evacuate people, put them in a safe zone, and if someone refused or said, no, I'm not going, they spray-painted no evac, they're staying, and then later they came back and killed them. During Maddie's trip, I was surprised to see just how few bodies were in the road. LA is full of millions and millions of people. I find it really hard to believe, even in a suburb of LA, that there weren't more bodies. Where are all the cars? It just seems a little too clean. I'm wondering if the military actually has taken the bodies and cleaned them up, and then the rest we see is just left over, not a big deal. We had to pick off one here or there. And it kind of makes me wonder if all of the zombies are actually in downtown LA, like munching on everyone, and then eventually, once they've done that, they're going to hear a noise, or maybe shooting from the military that's trying to clear out the areas, and then a herd is going to come and start moving towards those safe zones, and we're going to see a breakdown of those safe zones. And speaking of that gunfire, I'm almost 100% positive what Travis saw at the end was the military finding those survivors in the home that were trying to signal to Chris, and they just straight out executed them. Travis told them about the survivors, they went and found them and just took care of it. At this point, it's If you are in their little perimeter and they find you, they're going to execute you, no questions asked. And I'm guessing the military safe zones are working in this case because 1, they set it up quickly, 2, they set it up outside of the LA main downtown area, so it's far enough away where it maybe wasn't as big of a deal, and also their brutal methods probably help a lot. In The Walking Dead, we know safe zones and relief centers in the cities worked for a time. Then they became overrun with the undead, and the military authorized deadly force, allowing soldiers to fire on unarmed citizens, whether they were infected or not. It appears from what Maddie saw, this deadly force has either been given or this military group just doesn't care. My guess is the safe zone falls by the end of the season, or Lieutenant Golfer becomes Governor 2.0, but I really want to see the fall of the safe zone versus, another governor. Knowing their brutal methods, I'm really now interested at the hospital, what exactly is going on. Are they quarantining these high-risk people and trying to keep them alive, or are they bringing them there and maybe trying to help the ones they can? But for the most part, if you're a lost cause, why are we wasting meds on you? We're just going to take you to a room and just take care of you. You're just not worth the risk. You're not worth the strain on our resources. Okay, you have congestive heart failure. What's the point? I really want to know how far the hospital will go to keep you alive and how they're prioritizing certain people over others. And a little bit darker, what if the hospital is actually being used for experimenting on people so they can kind of try to understand the disease a little bit better, and we start to see people that they deem that basically are too big of a liability and they can't save. They're at the end, let's say terminal cancer, or their heart is going to give out. Okay, we're going to experiment on you and try to figure out a little bit more about this outbreak. Sorry about you, but you're helping us. I really like the ending with Travis figuring out the military wasn't all they seemed, and that his kind of wake-up call that these people he was buddying up to actually aren't the nice saviors that he had them all built up with. And I also really liked Alicia reading the suicide note. Yeah, we don't really care about the neighbor, but I enjoyed the contents of the letter. The neighbor thought that the outbreak was godly, a punishment, a coming deserved. I honestly wanted to see more of this in Fear the Walking Dead. How do people respond to the initial outbreak? You're going to have the people that go crazy, looters, the super religious people that view this as God's event or rapture, where they could have shown maybe mass suicides via cults or some sort, the preppers, etc. They could have gone a lot of places showing how it all broke down. So here are some of my ending thoughts. Does anyone feel it's weird Nick is wearing the old man's clothes? He has a swimsuit or a borrowed one. I'm assuming Maddie has some of his clothes at the house, or he could borrow Travis's. He must really, really like the old man clothes. Or he's suffering from self-image issues, making him not give a shit. I don't know. How does he manage to swim in a pool and still have disgusting greasy-looking hair, though? That is amazing. Ophelia using the soldier for medicine was nice to see. She's not another weak character. She's going to do what she has to help those she loves survive. Alicia stabs herself with a needle over and over to make her boyfriend's design permanent. I get why she's doing it, but let's hope it doesn't become infected. Doesn't really seem like a smart thing to do during an outbreak with limited antibiotics. Hey, let's stab myself with a needle over and over. Lastly, I'm kind of upset about the 9-day time jump. This show is meant to show us how the outbreak went down. In 9 days, we missed a lot. I guess 6 episodes means they have to start jumping around in time, though. What are your thoughts, though? Do you think they're going to get Nick back? Do you think the hospital has a more sinister purpose besides just treating those that are a higher risk? I think this episode is really setting up a really intense last 2 episodes. So come back every week for Fear the Walking Dead, and then the Walking Dead episode reviews. And we start a comic versus show for The Walking Dead versus the show again this fall. And then Sunday and Wednesday there are Game of Thrones history videos, and Star Wars will be starting soon.